being reported. But it was reduced to 20%. So it shouldn't be a reason then here, because we should be reporting now positive attainment towards them reporting some profit, some considerable amount of profit to be taxed. I think that's the reasoning behind my his question, isn't it, Honorable? Yeah. Absolutely.
Honorable Mwira.
Yeah, I mean exactly. That is you have put it exactly as we should get the response. Now further, I would like to find out, maybe inform the committee as of now the effectiveness of the audit teams or the mining teams that you have at ZRA, and if these reasons are advanced by the mines are justified, because they may claim to be importing electricity, but we have factories here who are actually finding other ways of providing power for themselves. Others are running on diesel, but here you are telling us the non-mining actually surpassed their profit targets, but they are also incurring high costs to have power. Others are running on diesel, others are finding ways to do that. The fuel cost also is affecting everyone. But why should then the mines come back with less contribution to treasury, citing the same reasons where other sectors have found a way of still running and operating and contributing to our treasury? Your audit team, is it convinced with these reasons that the mines are providing as at now? Thank you.
The PS, maybe the DG.
I think there was a question on the effectiveness of the policy with regard to capital allowance in the mining sector and other sectors. I think the Commissioner General Domestic Taxes did clarify on that one. Maybe just to amplify that, as you may be aware, honorable members, that every year we do constitute a committee under the ministry to discuss revisions to taxes, suggestions and recommendations on how certain sectors can be supported in order for them to grow, enhance production or output, and also contribute to employment creation. I think some of the measures that the government has instituted has been continuous review of the performance of various sectors, as has been highlighted, which eventually even led to the revisions that we have undertaken with regard to capital allowances in the mining sector, which was higher before, and discussions with other sectors and the mining sector itself, government considered to reduce this lower, in a sense that we have established, as you know, that the mining sector contributes significantly to the economy's foreign earnings, and therefore it is a significant contributor in terms of actually taxes themselves, as well as import volumes for what Zambia imports, and also they are providing some other services to a certain extent to suppliers within their localities. So government really monitors what is going on in the mining sector to ensure that we have a win-win situation. They are contributing significantly to the country's revenues. They are also providing backward or forward linkages through supporting suppliers, but also to ensure that we do not have a tax regime or even policies that will stifle productivity or even enhance production that we have projected in our national development strategies. So it's a balancing act, I should say. We keep monitoring their performance. Where we see that there is seemingly maybe inequality in the treatment, we always go back and revise certain things, hence the revision that was done with regard to capital allowances in the mining sector, while we maintained higher capital allowance in other smaller sectors. We know that the mining sector has been importing a lot of equipment which has come into the country, and at significant cost. This equipment is very costly, and I think we would like to ensure that that cost is offset in the 5 years, after which we expect that we'll get our revenues from then on. The Commissioner General will answer on the effectiveness of the audit processes and management and monitoring to ensure that there's compliance with the policy that we have set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner
Through Chair, I'll ask Commissioner to start, then I'll pick it up from there.
Commissioner can respond to the question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In terms of the effectiveness of the audit teams, I just wish to submit from how we are structured. We do have a dedicated audit team. Firstly, we have created a mining department headed by a senior officer, director, and under this department we do have audit teams responsible for the large mines, responsible also for the artisanal, small and medium mines. Now, as our auditors are undertaking their work, we are guided by the law. When it comes to income taxation, the law is quite prescriptive. It guides on what items we need to allow, on what items we need to disallow. Then, in addition to the structure that we have, we've gone further also to take care of very, very topical issues like transfer pricing. So we do have a unit known as the International Taxation Unit, specifically responsible for transfer pricing issues. So we have a team for domestic, with those transactions within Zambia, another team handling international taxation. So with the progress that we've made over time, and in terms of even the upskilling of our officers, I think I would confidently submit that so far, when we compare with other jurisdictions, for Zambia being a predominantly extractive industry-based jurisdiction, we have an effective audit team. Suffice, Honorable Chair, to mention that most of the work that we do, because of our laws, we would not come out and say this year or this quarter our audit findings on some of these companies covered so and so, but in our annual report that we publish, we do indicate the number of audits that we've undertaken and areas of concern. That's my submission, Chair.
Thank you. Maybe just to add on, Chair, the issue at hand is that, first of all, the mining companies contributed towards this 19.9 billion in company income tax in 2024. So if you look at our annual report, it will show you that 7.4 billion of this came from the mining sector. Of this 19 billion, 7.4 billion was paid by the mining sector. When you drill down the numbers, that's where the issues are. It's less than 10 mines that accounted for that profit. I think those are some of the 80% of that profit came from about 10 mines. I think those are the issues to deal with in the mining sector. Now, the issue of capital allowance that has arisen here, I think even in our explanation, we've put it into context. The mines have been expanding the past 2 years or so, 2-3 years. There's been a lot of investment in the mining sector. As you buy more capital equipment, you access more capital allowances. So when there's expansion, you expect the mines to have a huge outlay in terms of capital allowances during that period. Then in terms of capacity of ZRA, like indicated, I think we've shared before your committee, Chair, mining is the only sector that has a department on its own at ZRA at the moment. That's how we've prioritized it. At director level, with a full-time team working there, just to ensure that we drive compliance in the mining sector. As a result, you can see all the revenue collected, for example, in 2024, almost 28% of that came from the mining sector. That's the level of interventions we're doing. But it's an area that we continuously invest also in terms of resources. We've made sure that we've recruited people who are beyond the conventional qualifications. We have mining engineers, the metallurgists and so forth, who are now part of the ZRI team to ensure that we drive compliance. But there's still more that we can do, particularly in the artisanal and small scale level, where even production reporting is a challenge in most cases. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Mnyima.
Thank you, Chair. I want to go to page 9 of the submission. Chair, the submission of the controlling officer with regards to payments not accompanied with tax returns. We see that out of those 302 transactions, and they were accompanied by 89,000 kwacha, which has been collected out of 35 million. I just want to understand, PS, you have outlined interventions there on improving this. Are you able to update the committee on what the status is today, and if at all these interventions are working? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members. Honorable Lumai.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Vice Chairperson. Thank you, PS, for the wonderful responses you are providing to this committee. PS, you are aware that the increased level of non-compliance by taxpayers, meaning the economy is in danger. Increased levels of leakages is also not good for our country. And I have taken note the questions from Honorable Kambita and Mwila and also Honorable Mnyima. You have outlined the interventions which you are trying to present before this committee, so that come the next audit, this committee must be happy with the Zambia Revenue Authority. Now, Madam Vice Chairman, you agree with me that even last year when we sat, the same interventions were brought before this committee, and the question I would want from, the answer I would want from the PS, why do you think these interventions will work now and they did not work last year? And also, Madam Chairperson, when you go to appendix number 1, you find a letter written by Deborah Wembia, Director, Large Taxpayer Office, for 16th August 2025, where after this audit was done. So this letter was to remind Zambia, Zambia Breweries, National Breweries PLC, on the payment of the 25 million kwacha, when the committee expected this communication to have been done way before the audit. So why are we having these communications after the audit has been conducted? I submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you, PS. Honorable Kambita.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think I just wanted to put it into context as the PS or Commissioner General responds to these questions raised. Commissioner General, I would like you to critically look at the schedule that you provided on page 2, where there is the variances reported. If you look at it closely, honorable members, you will see that there are categories of tax which are easy to collect, which are posting positive variances. And then there are categories of taxes which are posting negative variances. And this is where the focus should be. So we cannot really celebrate the fact that we hit over and above the overall target without looking at the detail, because the devil is in the detail. If you marry the two, for instance, if you look at item number 45 and 46, domestic VAT posted a negative variance, and the import VAT posted a way high positive variance, because this is not, there's very little intervention from you. This is dependent on people importing the goods, and as long as they pass through the system, you collect the tax. But the domestic VAT depends on how efficient the systems you have put in place are in order for you to collect this tax. And these are the ones posting the negative variances. That's why I mentioned that, Commissioner General, you need to go detail here and review the performance of your commissioners in these categories of taxes, because it gives us a picture on how efficient the administrative systems we have put in place to collect this tax are working. And you can check, actually, even the ones that are showing the positive variances are the easy ones. Pay as you earn. It depends. I mean, here salaries are paid and it's an obligation to quickly money goes to ZRA. But those where you need to put in proper administration systems, that's where the problem is. So they are the ones we should focus on. So what kind of interventions have you put in place to focus on these? I can call them maybe hard issues. Because the softer ones, yes, we don't have any problem there. They can give you the positives, as it were. But these ones, which are hard to collect because of the systems, how much attention have you paid to them? Thank you.
PS, you can respond to the 3 questions.
I will call upon the Commissioner General to respond. Interventions on tax payments, not accompanied by tax returns. And then the same interventions were presented in last year's report, how sure we are that the interventions we are proposing will be effective. And the last question. Thank you.
Thank you, PS. I'll ask the Commissioner, Domestic Taxes, to start, and also respond to the question on why we had to make the intervention after starting the audit to the taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In terms of the interventions, if they are working, let me begin by submitting that as we undertake our tax administration work, when it comes to the management of the compliance obligations of our taxpayer, we do not close the year. If a taxpayer in this particular year failed to meet their legally prescribed obligations, like failing to file a return, making a tax payment, come the following year, on our books, these taxpayers will still be identified. We will know who has not filed a return. That obligation still remains. Those that have not paid, they become our debtors on the books. We continue pursuing them. So on a year-by-year basis, we still continue to follow up those that did not honor their obligations in the previous year. Some of the interventions that we use in a particular year will continue even the following year, and these have largely been very effective. And I think, should we be allowed, we could present the improved compliance rates that we are seeing in 2025. We have continued with the same interventions, but in 2025 we've seen an improvement in terms of the monthly compliance rates for filing and payments. For the intervention that was specifically cited for our director under the Large Taxpayer Office, again, like I mentioned, this is one of the taxpayers who has been owing us. They've been given the opportunity to enter into a time to pay agreement, but still have shown reluctance to honor their obligations. So what we do as part of the intervention is to scale up interventions. If this taxpayer was being handled by a dedicated account manager at a lower grade, we start escalating now to assistant commissioners or directors until it reaches commissioner level. As a result of such intervention, you will notice that even the compliance behavior changes for a particular taxpayer. Coincidentally, indeed the audit was already underway, but these are efforts that have continued not just on this particular taxpayer but for many others, and currently we still have a lot of taxpayers that we are engaging at different levels. In terms of some of the high-level measures for improvement of the cited tax types like the domestic VAT, our major one flagship is the smart invoice, where we've seen remarkable progress in onboarding the taxpayers. We are now at over 18,000, those that have now come on the smart invoice out of a population of VAT, for example, of 21,000. Then we have other initiatives that have already been listed. The one I can pick is the tax clearance certificate. The tax clearance certificate is now a very effective tool for compliance. In the past, this tax clearance certificate would be issued at the beginning of the year, regardless of the changed circumstances in a taxpayer in terms of compliance during the year. They will still hold a valid manual tax clearance certificate. But we've made this tax clearance certificate a dynamic one that is responding to the compliance behavior of a taxpayer, meaning at any particular time somebody becomes non-compliant for filing or payment, this becomes invalid. And we've seen quite a number of our stakeholders coming through to regularize their compliance position. So this and many others listed are some of the initiatives that we were using last year. We've enhanced most of them. We've continued even in 2025. I submit.
Thank you. Maybe just to amplify on the question Honorable Mai has asked, if you look at the policy statement in the minister's speeches for the, in fact, maybe past couple of years, domestic resource mobilization policy has been anchored mainly on improving administrative efficiency of ZRA, sealing the revenue leakages, and expanding the tax base. And you can see that all the strategies that have been going on are aimed at us addressing those particular aspects of domestic resource mobilization. But the key performance indicators that we are looking at are we improving on compliance? Is compliance changing every year? Of course, I don't know of administration that has got 100% compliance, but you can see that every year you are going towards higher levels of improving compliance. Revenue leakages being sealed, and also most important as that a tax to GDP. Where are we standing in the region? You can see that these KPIs, we are slowly progressing and going up in terms of performance. So there is a continuous process improvement in undertaking all these reforms and sealing the various revenue leakages that we have. Honorable Kambita, the issue, unfortunately, I may disagree with you a bit on the easy and the high taxes. I think from biblical times there are no taxes that are easy to collect. That's why people had to go to Jesus to ask. So, in short, it's a tough product to market. No one wants to pay tax ultimately. But the issue is, I think we may need just to agree on what are the factors that drive each tax type. For example, if you look at import VAT last year, okay, let's look at the same import VAT this year. Import VAT last year, remember the macroeconomic assumption was that the dollar would be at what? 18.6. That's how the budget was made. But the dollar ended up at 25.9. So it means the base on which you collected import VAT last year was very high. Take the same import VAT this year. I think the assumption this year was what, $27? Now the dollar is around 22. Same VAT. Ask us the figures. It's gone down. So it's not factors necessarily, for some tax types, not factors to do with whether someone has put in more effort or not. But Chair, not to negate the wise counsel that has been given, we've come before your committee several years consistently with two major problems, two major tax types. We said mining income tax is giving us problems. We've never hidden that from you, and domestic VAT. And if you see, a lot of our reforms are anchored around correcting these two tax types. And for this year, I think as we talk next year, the figure on the mining income tax will be a different story. But domestic VAT, we still have a few challenges here and there. But we can see that the tax type is being rectified and being addressed. So we've taken, and just to indicate also that for officers, all ZRA officers, we signed at the beginning of the year a performance management and development contract. What is it they are going to achieve in each year? Mid-year, we review. What have you done? End of year now, next month we're starting already to review how have you performed as that. So any corrective measures we take into account in that process. But we can say for now that I think we're on the right path in terms of executing our mandate. I submit. Thank you.
Honorable Mnyima.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commissioner General, for your submission. Chair, when you look at page 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, the ZRA has continued to provide reforms and follow-up action to ensure outstanding debt on rental income, VAT, excise duty, insurance premium, tourism levy. Now, what I want to understand, PS, is that are you able to update this committee when these outstanding debt for rental income, reverse VAT, excise duty, insurance premium, and tourism levy will be collected in full after you have employed interventions? And when you look at page 11 there, just before withholding VAT, one of your interventions is interfacing with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources Zambia Integrated Land Administration System, ZILAS. I don't even know how this is going to work when the ministry itself has a problem with ZILAS and they are now going to integrate with them when they themselves. So it's just want to understand if these interventions are truly practical, especially on this particular issue, the Ministry of Lands, who year in, year out have an issue with this particular system. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I ask my question, you didn't respond to the letter which was taken to National Breweries. The question was, were you reacting to you coming to Public Accounts Committee because you took the letter after the audit? And then I also have my question on page 2 on table 1. If you go to item 41, excise duty cement, there is no estimate amount there, but there is the actual correction. Why is it so? Then Honorable Mwira.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is on page 16 and debt management. Basically, the finding here is that returns for 2 tax types, returns were filed quite all right, with amounts totaling 1.3 billion kwacha. Still remained unpaid despite the returns being submitted. So basically I can say the affected transactions complied in all aspects except at the point of now saying our return says we owe you so much, but they have not paid. So now I've looked at the measures that you have highlighted. Actually these measures are appearing in most of the responses to ensure compliance. But what other measures? How do these measures now achieve the ultimate goal, which is to make the payment? Compliance, yes, they can submit the returns and everything, but at the end of the day, money must move from whoever the taxpayer is into the treasury, and this is the context of this finding, the debt management on page 16. Because they're still owing despite having complied with everything else. And further, Chair, maybe I would also like to find out the ones that have been highlighted here, would you inform the committee if there is a specific sector affected? Because these measures mainly deal with, big operations, but the ones that are giving you trouble in terms of debt management, them making payments, is there any similarity in terms of the business they do or the sector they are operating in that is giving you a challenge to reach the ultimate goal of collecting the tax due? I submit, Chair.
Yes, you can respond, I think, to 3 to 4 questions.
Thank you so much, Chairperson and honorable members. I'll ask the Commissioner General to respond.
Thank you, OPS, and thank you, Chair. Commissioner Domestic Taxes will start, then I'll add on to that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and CG, through the PS. Let me submit on the debt and the ZEALAS. I'll start with those. For the ZEALAS interface is one of our successful interfaces that we have. Now our taxpayers don't need to physically move documents to go and process any property transfer transactions at the ministry. They have to do this through the system, the interface. However, one key addition that we made to this interface is now the requirement for the property transfer, for the tax return certificate. This is intended now to enhance compliance. So for the one who is buying, for the one who is selling, they now need also to present the tax clearance certificate, and we've seen an increase in the compliance levels. The issue of the debt, the honorable member asked whether when we are going to collect this. It's a difficult one. I'm sure CG will also add on, but just to submit that in terms of our debt stock that we have, it has different ages. You notice that we even do have debt that is over 120 days, debt that is 30 days, 60 days, just like that. So going by the past experience that we have in terms of debt management, one would not with certainty say by this date I'll be able to collect all the debt, because there are different reasons our taxpayers give for not paying the taxes that are due. But from where we are, using all the debt recovery instruments that we have, we continue collecting debt, even that is over 120, that is over 1 year, and any other debt, because debt that has not been collected remains debt for the government and has to be pursued using any legally available tools. The case of the national breweries, this one, from what we submitted, it was an ongoing intervention, not just for this taxpayer but for all the taxpayers that are not compliant. What we have under our large taxpayer office, we do have our large taxpayers that are also non-compliant, some of them. So interventions, among the interventions is the issue of escalating the cases to the higher offices. If our account manager was handling this matter, it had to be escalated to the next higher office, like director, until it reached commissioner. And what was peculiar about this company is that the reasons they were giving for non-compliance could no longer hold, because we noticed that they continued importing. They were active, they were importing materials using our SCUDA system, and we said, can we now intervene through tipping, blocking, suspending their tax clearance, and also giving them an opportunity to be heard, so that we really appreciate, because they are a PLC, and I think that's the other peculiarity about this company. It's a public listed company. For them to be non-compliant was a serious issue that we picked up and presented to them. The other issue, again, on the issue of debt, just to add on that, in addition to the age of the debt cutting across the years, even when it comes to sectors, you will find that even for smaller taxpayers, they also owe us money. We come to the large taxpayers, be it in the mining sector, we have a few that owe us. Even in wholesale and retail, we have taxpayers owing us. We do use the same interventions to collect the taxes that are owed. In terms of structure also, what we've done is for the large taxpayers, we've created a dedicated debt recovery unit. This is just specifically for our large taxpayers. Then the rest of the taxpayers, we have a corporate debt recovery unit that collects or follows through those that are owing the Zambia Revenue Authority. Submit.
Thank you. Maybe just to add on through you, Chair.
Before that,
sorry,
Commissioner, I think the issue of the national breweries later comes in because according to the communication was done after the auditors came on the ground. If you had communicated with national breweries before the auditors came to offices, the response was going to be different. Maybe the question was not even in the Auditor General's report, but you reacted after the auditors came. And our advice that if you have questions with any institution, it's better you make follow-ups before the auditors come to see you. And then you didn't respond on my question on the issue of cement. There is no estimate because we understand that there's a lot of activities in the infrastructure sector in the country, so there must be an estimate put to it. But in this report, we don't have, we only have the actual correction. So the question, why? Clarify.
Okay, thank you. So, Chair, we'll start with the issue of the cement. As you can see, the column that it's supposed to be in was the estimate in terms of how much the target is supposed to be, but it seems it wasn't apportioned in that particular year. Yeah, but the actual collections is shown there in terms of how much was collected in terms of accounting for the cement. So probably it's an issue we've taken note, and we will liaise with our colleagues at the Ministry of Finance in terms of how we should handle it in this year, assuming we haven't made the same anomaly, but we've taken note that that's what you've raised as a concern. On the issue relating to the follow-up on the taxpayer, we've also taken note of your guidance. Notwithstanding the fact that we have different stages of interventions. Chair, what we've done now is that, especially for these big clients, they've got an account manager. The way you have at the bank a relationship manager. So they have an account manager. The account manager will be following up on the obligations. When the account manager fails, they take it to the next supervisor. And the supervisor also, it goes like that. Yeah. So probably it's an issue that we may need to expedite so that we don't seem to be reacting to an audit the way it has been presented now. But it suffice to mention that we have that level of relationship at a lower level where people follow up on these taxpayers. But the guidance has been wanted. On the debt, just to bring into context also that the question is especially which sectors are we having challenges with debt collection. I think what we've seen to be a much more problematic area is many of the grant-aided institutions. These parastatals, we seem to have a challenge on that, including local authorities. We're owed billions, including in Pay-as-UN. Pay-as-UN is deducted, and it's factored in our target that we're supposed to collect this. But it's not being paid. In some of these leveling institutions, they owe us in billions. And the enforcement also becomes a very tough matter to undertake. But in some cases, we're being assisted through the Ministry of Finance, Secretary to Treasury's office, where debt swaps are being facilitated. But in others, we're still having challenges. But we've written, Chair, to the Ministry, to ST's office, for them to consider withholding at source before granted institutions money for that. Institutions, especially on tax types like Pay-as-UN. So probably those are areas that we can be supported on, and we have a challenge. Thank you.
Honorable Kambita.
Very quick one, Chairperson. Thank you very much. Permanent Secretary, on page 24, I think proceeding all the way up to, I think, 28 or so. These pages record the query on failure to dispose gazetted goods. And I think I have an issue here which I want to raise with Commissioner General. It's one thing to seize the goods. It's another to get the benefit of the goods that you have seized. What we have observed, of course, as a general player in the community is that ZRA is very quick at seizing goods. But to take care of what they have seized and to get the value out of what they have seized is a problem. At the end of the day, you find sometimes these goods that have been seized go to waste. And the reasons you are adducing here in your management response include issues to do with the appeals that take long before you could have the right to dispose of these goods. However, the issue I want to raise, Commissioner General here, is the security of these assets, because they're assets. These are assets which must maintain value the way they came. Now, look at the picture on page 24, cannibalized. And this is not restricted to goods like vehicles, even other goods. You find some goods here, I've seen here, they end up even expiring. Expired goods, things that will have no value at the end of the day. So what was the motive of seizing them then if we can't get value out of them? So now we need to consider these factors in order for us to get value out of what we seize. And everything else in terms of administrative bureaucracy that exists must be addressed in order for us to get value out of the goods that we seize. After all, the purpose of doing this is to increase our taxes. So let this be addressed, Permanent Secretary. It's common, it might be a negligible amount when you look at it at face value, but cumulatively, there's a lot of value being lost by both the taxpayer and the government. I submit.
Thank you very much, Chair. My two questions on different pages. First of all, I go to page 18, failure to monitor transits. Here, I think the committee needs to be guided. Chairperson, I don't know if there is another package of the support documents, because the appendices being referred under the management response, I can't see them in this package. There's a appendix, this is what, 17A, relating to Chanida, a court case. In the same response, appendix 17C, because this whole folder ends at appendix I think 14, and then there's XB. So basically my question on this one is, where is the evidence of to justify your response? That's on page 18. Now I go to page 35. It's being carried forward from page 4. Irregularities in the administration of non-tax revenue and failure to correct mineral royalty tax. PS and your team, the response to this query, largely explained on page 35, is disputing what the audit finding was had indicated, and mainly, first of all, on the number of companies that are being cited. The audit is referring to 31 mining companies which were queried. In your response, you're saying there should be 41 companies. And on the amount, again, the audit is saying the amount being exported minerals worth 4.3 million United States dollars. Your response is that in fact it should not be United States dollars but Zambian currency, 4.3 million kwacha. So this dispute Why could it not be resolved at the time of the audit, and the correspondence that you had before the report could be finalized? Because here we can't now be addressing disputes that should be concluded between the auditor and the auditee. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can respond to questions. Your response on page 18 doesn't have supported dividends. So can you clarify that?
It must be an oversight, Chair. Honorable members, I apologize that the filing could not have been done for that particular one. Apologies for that oversight. I'll ask the Commissioner General to respond to the actual query that requires clarification on the same.
PS, we are a committee of facts, so we'll not assume. That's why we need that evidence to be attached to the document.
Thank you, Chair.
So you can respond.
Thank you. Through I'm just looking at our auditors team in the background. We are trying to see if it was an omission in filing on the document, but it's another document. So our team, if you manage to find the document, you can please assist us identify. Then, so Chair, in the course of the meetings, we will try to see if we can retrieve the documents that are being cited there. Then I'll ask Commissioner Customs just to amplify on Honorable Kambita's issues relating to the seizure and the related questions that have been raised. And then also on the transit-related matter, of course, he can comment at a high level. And then our team will comment also on the why we did not resolve the audit dispute before coming here relating to the amino royalty. So I'll ask our director for internal audit, who is our liaison with Auditor General, who will comment from our side.
Is behind me?
Yes, please.
So you can come this side, director. You swap with someone this side.
Okay. So for now, we'll ask Commissioner Customs can start.
So one of you can move.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, through CG. Thank you, Honorable Member, for the valid observation with respect to disposal of goods. Indeed, because of the nature of the process that is currently being followed, we have a number of items as indicated there that have overstayed. So we have highlighted a number of reasons, some related to appeals, and more than that, because of the procedural issues that we have indicated, we are trying to automate the process, and of course the delay that is coming up because of the manual nature and the other administrative issues to do with the disposal approvals. And indeed, we have noticed that we can't rely on the current legislative provisions to deal with perishables. So in the 2026 budget, we made provisions to ensure that perishables are disposed of. We get that authority to dispose of them in a timely manner so that we do not have such instances of losses, which is both, to the importer as well as government. And taken note also, we are upgrading a number of our borders in terms of infrastructure, so that will take into account also the security issues to ensure that assets are secured. So that has been noted, Honorable. And coming to transits, the transits at the moment we are enforcing strictly in terms of bond redemptions on a monthly basis. Whatever is outstanding is sent. We give at the beginning of the month, we give a notice, 2 weeks notice to the guarantors. If they don't attend to them after 2 weeks, then we forward to the bank for garnishing the amount that is supposed to be secured by the bonds. So that's the aspect in terms of transit and how we are managing to ensure that we enforce the provisions of the law. I submit.
Thank you. Maybe Chair, I'll just add a bit on the seizures. I can see the number of pages that talk about the goods that are seized but not disposed. Yeah. The nature of our process such as we have to adhere strictly to the laws. So there is a specified number of days within which goods, once they are put on receipts of item held, RIH, they have to be on RIH for some time. They have to be again on, once gazetted, you have to give a certain period as well, and so forth. So we have to strictly follow all those provisions. If we don't follow those provisions, then it's another audit query that we didn't adhere to the disposal procedures. But like my colleague has indicated, we have catered for, particularly for perishables, that and we thank the committee and the honourable members for the support in that there's a new law now that will give us a much more fast-tracked way of dealing with disposals starting from 2026. Then on the disposal as well, you can see also a common comment that is coming up is that we now have to dispose through the committee as enshrined in the Public Finance Management Act. So you can see that that's another process now that we have to wait for in terms of the disposal. You can see a number of the goods, they've been inspected, now we're waiting for an instruction on what to do next. So we have to follow all these procedures for us to adhere to the disposal processes. Let me have a director on the minute. Maybe we can hear also, Chair, through you. Maybe because we submitted from our end as Zambia Revenue Authority that this is our interpretation, that this amount, for example, is in kwacha and not dollar. Maybe we can hear from our colleagues why it was not rectified. But we did submit as I submit.
Thank you. Maybe we can get guidance from the Auditor General's office. And why is the director failing to come forward? You're still consulting.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Maybe we could have given the director to speak so that I see how we can finally resolve it, because I wanted to give a final guide.
Okay. Director can respond, then AG will guide us later.
Chair, thank you very much. I think we in our interactions with our auditors, we went through several iterations, Chair, and what we noticed is at the time that we were doing our final submission, there was a bit of figures that were still coming in, such that by the time the report was being submitted, it was we were basing it on the latest on the figures that we had initially. As following the earlier submission, this earlier report that was given to us as we were discussing with the auditors. So in short, Chair, we shall reconcile the figures with the auditors as we go forward. Otherwise, we had quite some different figures as we were explaining through with the auditors. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Mim.
Chair, so how do we handle it if these submissions that are here, are you saying, Director, that these are incorrect submissions which the PS has made before this committee?
Director?
Chair, the submissions that we've made are the position based on our figures and our extractions from the systems, and we are saying that we were in the process of giving the
Director, maybe you withdraw your area statement. Yeah. Focus on the question of the dollar, this figure that we are discussing, because the way you've submitted, it's like whatever you've submitted, you are not. It's not the correct position. So can you withdraw the area statement? because you said that we were still working on the figures, we are receiving more figures. So that in our reflections, like everything that is here is not correct. So just withdraw your area statement.
Dr. Chair, maybe allow me to withdraw the earlier statement. In terms of the dollar figure, this one we actually brought it to the attention of our auditors that these figures are actually meant to be in kwacha, not US dollar. So that's why we responded with the kwacha figures on our side, Chair. Thank you.
AG, can you guide us?
Yes, Chair. I think because we have got audit processes, and at the time we issued the management letter, or we did a status report. A status report is the one which builds what we call a draft audit reference sheet, and that draft audit reference sheet is the one that culminates into the report. So, and we give, I think, the client some 3 days to factually, actually there we use the word to factually confirm if these amounts are correct. So, based on our audit reports, which has other our figures, the way they are stated, those are the figures which were factually correct. So, if perhaps now these other figures are being brought, I think the only recourse which I would want to state is perhaps the client to admit maybe there could have been a mistake of figures, which we can either decide he withdraws and submits the correct figures, which we have to verify. But however, I think we would still hear his view.
Chair, I think we have a problem here. Perhaps the submission of his area withdrawn submission sounds to be the correct. He has actually withdrawn the truth. This that is here has not been verified by Auditor General. So this PS submission is not properly before this committee, because Chair, we are not here to experience reconciliation between the Auditor General and ZRA. What should be here should be the agreed position. So this in its entirety, these figures are not properly before this committee and must be withdrawn forthwith, unless PS and ZRA can demonstrate that they exhausted this with the Auditor General before coming here.
PS, maybe through the DG you can respond to that.
Thank you, Chair, for the issues that have been raised. I think we may just need to put the whole discussion into context. I believe we've had a very good back and forth clarification on a number of issues in this whole report. The issue where we are having disparities between ourselves and our colleagues is on the mineral royalty. And the amount, you can see the amount is exactly the same, but the currency is different. So probably that's an issue that we may be allowed, Chair, through your indulgence on the committee, for us to reconcile what is the correct position from our end. But otherwise, we take it that what has been discussed to a larger extent, and we thank the guidance from the committee on the various issues that are in this paper, where we've been well guided, we take it that the submissions still stand, except for this item that we don't seem to have resolved fully. I submit, Chair, and that's seek your indulgence.
I think so. I would propose that we withdraw page 34, irregularities in the administration of non-tax revenue, to 35, and then you can do a resubmission verified by the AG. That will be the position.
Thank you, Chair. We're well guided. Thank you.
Up 38, eh? Okay, the whole submission for this part, they'll need to resubmit it through the office of the clerk. Any questions, honorable members? Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. On page 18, a failure to monitor transits appears during the submission. Out of 26 vehicles, the remaining 20 totaling to 5.8 million. Would you update the committee if the garnished amount was equivalent to debt owned by the guarantor? I submit.
PS, you can respond to that question. That's page 18.
Thank you, Chair. The Commissioner General will answer the question.
Thank you, PS, and thank you, Chair. I'll ask my colleague, Commissioner Customs, to just respond on that. Then I'll add on.
Okay, thank you, CG. Just to Chair, to explain the way the garnish works, the amount is the garnish goes to the bank to hold on that particular amount. In this example, you have mentioned 5.8. So the account might not be exactly 5.8, but the bank, whatever money will be putting until it reaches that extent, then they remit to us. So in this particular case, I cannot confirm that the account there was all this money at a go, but the bank would hold that account like it's locked. Whatever money is coming in is secured for subsequent remittance to ZRI. I submit, CG.
Yeah, maybe just to oh, sorry.
Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. What if they change the account, open another account, just to avoid that the ZRI can, whatever will be put in account will be going to ZRI? What are you going to do in this regard?
Thank you. What happens is that garnish goes to all the banks. So whichever, if they change, it will still apply wherever they go. And if it has already been explained by a colleague, after some time we just go to other instruments like of debt recovery, such as maybe even holding on to assets and disposal. Thank you.
Chair, we just want to, in addition to what my colleague has submitted, want to, I think, bring to the attention of your committee. I hope our colleagues from Auditor General recognize that the issue of outstanding transits, and in the past, if you look at past reports, there used to be an observation of failure to redeem the bonds. You can see that from this year, we've starting last year actually, we've done a lot in terms of cleaning up, first of all, the outstanding bonds, and also pursuing the guarantors. If you look at or you engage stakeholders from the insurance industry, they will tell you that ZRA has been actively following them up to ensure that they honor obligations that they've guaranteed for. And that's part of the reform that has taken place in this space, such that we're even now automating, we're creating an electronic bond system, which we're working with the guarantors to ensure we bring sanity in this area. I thought I should just bring to your attention. At times, they say you praise yourself if our colleagues haven't praised us, the auditors, on the reform. Thank you.
Members, any questions, especially the last part, the insurance one? Honorable Mwira.
I think, Chair, for me, on this issue of insurance, what the committee finds surprising is that Minister of Finance is the custodian of the government assets. And if they are the ones caught wanting in terms of lack of insurance, then it just puts you see many of the government assets in danger. So it may not be a question, but basically what is being done in terms of measures going forward to ensure that such lapses do not happen at the doorstep of government treasury. They don't just take place. If it's another ministry or another department, we may understand, but not the people that are actually responsible for ensuring such things are not. I don't know what measures have been put in place. I submit, Chair.
PS.
Thank you, Chair.
And PS, before you respond, you said that 52 taxpayers have submitted all the 2024. So want the evidence, because from the appendices we didn't see the evidence of the payments. Can you respond to that?
Thank you, Chair. We will provide the evidence together with the evidence for page 18, which the team is putting together as we resubmit the part from 34 to 38. Apologies, I think within the filing there was a bit of a problem. I accept responsibility for that. Apologies. With regard to ensuring that the levy on the insurance premium levy.
PS, there's a question from Honorable Mwila or clarification.
Chair, let me just withdraw my question because I think I'm mixing up the issue with yesterday's discussion. Seeing the PS is the same person appearing. So, so let me withdraw my last statement.
PS he has withdrawn. However, my question is, you've said that to be submitted together with the other documents. So I think, honorable members, we can adjourn. We are supposed to come back at 14:30. PS, I think it's important that as the ministry pay attention to ZRA. We know that most of the resources in this country are coming through ZRA, and we know that 2026 budget, 82% of it will be financed locally, meaning ZRA is very crucial in this arrangement. So let's work as a team by doing the right thing. The officers should be guided. As we don't want to see you here next year again. Thanks so much. I lift your immunity. You are free to go back for your duties.
There are moments in our